The kind of night where everything seems quiet, but beneath the surface, something is about to break. "Sir, my dog's bleeding. I just need $10 to save him." Before I tell you what happened next, if you believe no one should face hardship alone, please hit that subscribe button. So many stories like this go unnoticed, but with just one click, you can help this message reach someone who truly needs it. It was the middle of the night, and the street lights cast long shadows on the empty roads. A soldier walked slowly, his mind heavy with thoughts of the battlefield. His boots scraped the pavement with each step, but there was no comfort in the familiar sound. He was alone, exhausted, and above all worried. His K9 partner, his only friend in the world, was badly injured. But as he passed an old pharmacy, something happened that would change everything. The moon hung high in the sky, casting its faint, pale light over the desolate street below. The world around him was strangely quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos he had just left behind. The soldier's boots scraped against the cracked pavement with every step, the sound of his movements a reminder of his solitude. The distant hum of a helicopter could be heard far above, but the soldier barely noticed. His focus was somewhere else, on the image of his partner lying in the truck, hurt. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from exhaustion. He had grown numb to the violence, the screams, the flashing lights of gunfire, and the endless war. It wasn't fear that kept his hands shaking. It was something deeper, something harder to grasp. It was the weight of memories, the ones that kept coming back, uninvited. When he closed his eyes, the faces of soldiers he had lost, the sound of the bombs dropping, the weight of carrying a weapon in one hand, and a sense of guilt in the other. And then there was Max. Max, his German shepherd, had been with him through it all. Together, they had survived ambushes, high-speed chases, and firefights. But Max had been more than just a partner on the battlefield. He was family. The bond between them was something unspoken but undeniable. Max had saved his life more times than he could count, instinctively protecting him when danger lurked around every corner. In return, the soldier had promised to protect him, and yet, here he was, walking alone through the empty streets, knowing Max was suffering in the truck, unable to do anything to help him. The soldier's throat tightened as he thought of Max. The dog wasn't just some animal, it was his lifeline. They understood each other in a way no one else did. They didn't need words. It was a shared glance, a flick of an ear, a slight tilt of the head. Max knew when the soldier was scared, when he was angry, when he was broken, and the soldier knew when Max needed reassurance. But that night, Max needed help that the soldier couldn't give. Max's wound was bad. The bullet had torn through his side, leaving a gaping hole. The soldier had tried to do what he could, but the resources were scarce. There was no medical unit nearby, no team of medics ready to patch Max up. It was just him and Max, stranded in the middle of a war zone, with no hope in sight. The soldier had searched. He had checked every corner of the area for supplies, for any sign of a way to stop the bleeding. But it was no use. The streets were empty, the city deserted, and time was running out. He could hear the faint sound of Max's soft whimpers from the truck, each one a dagger to his heart. The soldier knew what he needed. He needed help, but there was no one around. The world felt as if it had shut him out. He had come to realize that the soldiers, fighting alongside him, had been the last people he could rely on. They were gone now, scattered across the battlefield, no longer there to offer a hand when he needed it most. The war had taken so much, and in return, it had given him very little. With each step he took, the reality of it all began to set in deeper. Max was dying, and there was nothing the soldier could do. The faint glimmer of hope he'd once carried with him was now gone, replaced by the cold, hard truth. He didn't have the resources, the training, or even the time to help Max. All he had was a tiny bit of money left in his pocket, $10, his last $10. He pulled it out and stared at it for a long moment, watching as the moonlight caught the edges of the bills. It felt like nothing, less than nothing. It was a cruel joke, this tiny amount of money in a world so broken. The soldier had no idea if it would even be enough to help Max. But what choice did he have? He had to try. The soldier's heart pounded in his chest, and his breath quickened. The weight of the situation bore down on him as he walked down the empty street. His eyes darted from side to side, scanning the darkened surroundings. He was looking for a sign, any sign, that there was a chance to save Max. And then he saw it. It was a small, run-down pharmacy, tucked away on the corner of the street. The sign above the door flickered weakly in the night, casting a dull glow onto the cracked pavement below. It was a place that looked like it had been abandoned years ago, yet it was still there, stubbornly holding on to a forgotten existence. The soldier hesitated for a moment, wondering if this was the miracle he had been waiting for. He hadn't seen anyone in the area for hours, but something about the pharmacy's presence made him feel like he wasn't entirely alone. As he approached, the door creaked open, its hinges complaining from years of disuse. The soldier stepped inside, hoping to find something that could help Max. But the pharmacy was empty. The shelves were nearly bare, and the counter was covered in dust. There were no signs of life, no sign of any medicine that could save his partner. The soldier felt a pang of panic rise in his chest. He had nowhere else to go, no one else to turn to. The world had given him no options. He was about to turn away when he heard it, a voice. "Sir, my dog's bleeding. I just need $10 to save him." The words hit him like a freight train. For a moment, everything froze. His body stiffened, his mind racing to make sense of what had just happened. It wasn't the voice he expected. It wasn't someone who worked in the pharmacy or even a passerby. No, it was a young girl. She stood just outside the doorway, holding a trembling dog in her arms. The dog's fur was soaked with blood, and its small body seemed fragile and broken. The soldier blinked, his thoughts struggling to catch up. His mind was so focused on Max that he had nearly missed the girl standing in front of him, her eyes wide with desperation. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The soldier looked at the girl, then at the dog, and then back at the girl. He could see the same fear in her eyes that had been in his own moments ago, the same hopelessness, the same sense of being trapped in a world that didn't care. His first instinct was to help her, to give her whatever he could to save that dog. But then the truth hit him. He didn't have enough, not even close. The $10 he had was all he had left in the world, but it wasn't enough to save either of them. The soldier opened his mouth, but no words came out. He felt an overwhelming sense of helplessness wash over him. It wasn't just Max who was dying, it was hope itself. But the girl wasn't waiting for him to speak. She was looking at him, her eyes pleading. "Please," she whispered, "just $10. Please, I'll do anything." The soldier felt a lump form in his throat. His instincts told him to refuse, to walk away, to conserve what little he had. But he couldn't. He just couldn't. The idea of turning away from her, of leaving her and her dog to suffer like Max was suffering, felt unbearable. The soldier stood there frozen, his hand still gripping the worn $10 bill. The air between him and the young girl was thick with a kind of quiet desperation, the kind that only comes in moments of unbearable need. He didn't know how to explain the weight he was carrying, how the guilt of leaving Max in the truck while he searched for help was gnawing at his insides, how he wished there was more he could do, both for the dog in his care and the girl standing in front of him. Max, his dog, had been the only constant in his life. The bond they shared went beyond friendship. They were brothers in arms, tied together by the same experiences. Every time the soldier had felt lost, like he couldn't carry on, Max was there, standing by him, ears alert, ready to act. Max had been his rock, his protector, and now Max was suffering, alone in the truck, his life hanging by a thread. The soldier's gaze dropped to the $10 in his hand. It was all he had. It wasn't enough for Max's treatment. Hell, it wasn't enough for anything. The soldier couldn't even imagine what $10 could do in the face of Max's injuries. But there was no other choice. He couldn't stand to lose Max. Not like this. Not with no chance at all. "Please, sir, just $10. The young girl's voice snapped him out of his thoughts, pulling him back into the harsh reality of the moment. She wasn't asking for much, just enough to save her dog. But the soldier felt the weight of her plea settle into his chest. Her eyes, wide with fear and uncertainty, mirrored everything he was feeling. There was nothing he could do for her. He was already losing Max, and there was nothing left inside him to help this girl either. But then something changed. As the soldier stared into her pleading eyes, a realization began to creep in. She was no different from him, just a person trying to survive, to hold on to the one thing that mattered. She wasn't asking for a miracle, just a small bit of help, a tiny glimmer of hope. And for a moment, the soldier understood her completely. He had nothing left, but maybe this was the last chance he had to do something right, to not let the darkness swallow him entirely. He thought about Max again, about the bond they shared, about how Max had always been the one to bring him back from the edge. Maybe this was his moment to do the same for someone else. The soldier's fingers tightened around the $10 bill. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. The dog in the girl's arms was no different from Max. The same blood, the same pain, the same chance to survive. And if there was even the slightest chance that $10 could help, then it had to be worth it. "Take it," the soldier said, his voice rough, his throat tight. He held out the $10 bill to her. The girl didn't take it immediately. She seemed to hesitate, as if she was unsure whether to accept the help or not. The soldier wasn't sure if she felt pride, shame, or just sheer desperation in that moment. But she did take it eventually, her fingers brushing against his. "Thank you, sir," she whispered, her voice shaking. The soldier nodded, the weight in his chest lightening for the briefest of moments. For the first time in what felt like forever, he didn't feel completely alone. Helping her had momentarily silenced the loud, incessant whispers of guilt and despair that had been running through his mind since Max had been injured. It wasn't much, but it was something, and in that moment, it felt like the right thing to do. But the soldier's relief didn't last long. The girl didn't leave immediately. Instead, she took a step back, her eyes still locked on him. There was something else in her gaze, something he hadn't expected. "Sir," she said softly, "you're not alone." The soldier blinked, confused. "What?" She stepped forward, her dog still cradled in her arms. "You're not alone," she repeated, her voice steady now. "You have someone who cares, someone who's fighting for you, even if you can't see it." The soldier felt his heart skip a beat. The girl's words were like a punch to the gut, a reminder that he wasn't as invisible as he felt. He had been so wrapped up in his own guilt, his own struggles, that he had forgotten what it meant to have someone stand beside him. For a moment, the soldier didn't know how to respond. He felt like he was teetering on the edge of a cliff, uncertain of whether to step back into the darkness or lean into the light she was offering him. Her words were simple, yet they carried weight. They held a truth that he hadn't been ready to hear. He had been so focused on Max's suffering, on the weight of his own decisions, that he had lost sight of the fact that someone else in this world, this girl, this stranger, still cared enough to reach out. The girl looked at him again, her eyes softer now, as if she understood more than she was saying. "You're not alone," she repeated, her voice almost a whisper. "We're all in this together." And then, just as quickly as she had appeared, she turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing in the night as she disappeared into the darkness. The soldier stood there for a long time, frozen in place, feeling a mix of confusion, gratitude, and a strange sense of hope. What had just happened? He looked down at the $10 in his hand. It was a small thing, insignificant in the grand scheme of what was happening to Max, but it felt different now. It wasn't just money. It was a symbol of something he had almost forgotten. He wasn't alone, not really, but there was still one thing he needed to do. The soldier turned around and walked back to the truck, the weight of the $10 bill still heavy in his hand. But this time it was different. He wasn't just carrying the money. He was carrying something more, something intangible but real, a spark of hope, a glimmer of humanity. When he reached the truck, he didn't feel the crushing weight of despair anymore. He felt like he had a reason to keep fighting, for Max, for himself, for anyone who still needed him. He opened the truck door slowly, his eyes locking onto Max's face. The dog's eyes were dull with pain, but there was still a flicker of recognition in them. The soldier knelt beside Max, gently checking the wound. He wasn't sure what the future held, but at that moment, he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't going to give up on Max. Not now, not ever. The soldier sat beside Max in the truck, his hand gently resting on the dog's side, feeling the warm pulse of his breathing, each rise and fall a reminder of how fragile life could be. The $10 still sat heavily in his palm, and he stared at it for a long time, not knowing what to do with it. The girl's words echoed in his mind. "You're not alone." He hadn't realized how much he needed to hear those words. Somewhere along the way, he had forgotten what it meant to be seen, to be noticed. But now, the weight of his solitude felt a little lighter. Max let out a soft whine, and the soldier's attention snapped back to him. His dog's fur was matted with blood, his side swollen from the bullet wound. The soldier could feel the darkness creeping in again, the cold, heavy weight of failure. He should have been able to stop this. He should have been faster, smarter, stronger. It wasn't just Max who was wounded. It was the soldier himself. His heart, once filled with pride and purpose, was now shrouded in guilt. He had promised to protect Max, to always have his back. And now, here they were, stranded in the middle of nowhere, with only the faint hope of survival. The soldier looked out of the truck's window, his gaze wandering across the desolate landscape. The night had swallowed everything up. There were no sounds, no movement, no signs of life. The streets were empty, the world silent. The soldier felt as if the world itself had abandoned him. The war had taken everything from him, his comrades, his sense of purpose, his hope, and now it was trying to take Max too. It wasn't fair. Why was it always him? Why did he always have to be the one left behind? Max stirred slightly, his ears flicking as if he were trying to comfort the soldier in his own way. The soldier's chest tightened. There was no one else here. No one to help. He wasn't even sure if Max could make it through the night. The thought of losing him was unbearable. The soldier squeezed his eyes shut, fighting back the emotions that threatened to overwhelm him. He needed to think. He needed a plan. But there was no plan. There was nothing left to do but wait, and even that felt like a cruel joke. His mind drifted back to the girl he had met outside the pharmacy. Her face was still fresh in his memory. Her eyes filled with the same fear and desperation he had seen in his own reflection 1,000 times over. But there was something different about her, something pure. She hadn't been afraid to ask for help. She hadn't hesitated to reach out, even when she had nothing to offer in return. The soldier had spent so long trying to survive on his own, trying to shoulder the weight of the world alone, that he had forgotten what it meant to ask for help. He had forgotten what it meant to trust. But that girl, she had reminded him that asking for help didn't make you weak. It made you human. And in that moment, the soldier knew that he had to do something. He had to fight for Max. He had to give him every chance he could, no matter how small. He opened the truck door and stepped out, the cool night air biting at his skin. The soldier's feet hit the pavement with a dull thud as he moved with purpose, his eyes scanning the area for any sign of life. He wasn't sure what he was looking for. Maybe he was hoping for a miracle, maybe just a glimmer of hope, but there was nothing. The soldier walked down the street, his boots crunching against the gravel. He was tired, his body aching with exhaustion, but his mind was sharp. He couldn't stop. Not now. Not when Max needed him. He passed the pharmacy again, the same flickering sign, casting an eerie glow in the darkness. The soldier stopped in front of the door, staring at the faded letters on the window. He had already checked. There was nothing here, nothing he could use, but the feeling that something was still waiting for him lingered. The soldier's hand hovered over the door handle, unsure whether he should try again. He was about to turn away when a voice called out from the shadows. Looking for something? The soldier's heart skipped a beat. He turned sharply, his eyes narrowing as he tried to make out the figure, standing just a few feet away. A man, older than him, his face hidden in the shadows of his hood. He didn't look like someone who belonged in this part of town. The soldier hesitated, unsure whether to answer, but the man's voice was calm, almost soothing. "You're searching for something. I can see it in your eyes." The soldier's guard went up instinctively, but something about the man's demeanor kept him from pulling away. There was no threat in his voice, no malice, just an odd sense of understanding. I need help," the soldier admitted, his voice sounding foreign to his own ears. It had been so long since he had spoken those words. The man nodded, as though he expected as much. "We all need help," he said softly, almost to himself. Then, with a quick glance at the pharmacy, he gestured toward a nearby alley. "Come with me. I can help you." The soldier didn't know what to think. His instincts told him to be wary, to turn away, but something about the man's words rang true. Maybe this was the break he had been waiting for. Maybe this was the chance to save Max. He followed the man into the alley, his heart pounding. The darkness was thick here, the air heavy with the scent of wet concrete and decay. But the man moved with purpose, his steps sure and steady. They walked in silence for a few minutes, the soldier's mind racing with questions. Who was this man? Why was he helping? They finally stopped in front of a small, nondescript building. The man turned to face him. "I've got what you need, but you'll have to trust me." The soldier nodded. He didn't know why, but he felt a strange sense of peace wash over him. He trusted this man. He had no other choice. "Max needs help," the soldier said quietly. "He's not going to make it unless I get him some supplies. I don't have much, just $10, but I need to save him." The man smiled, the first genuine smile the soldier had seen in a long time. "You don't need much to save a life, just the right tools and the right heart." With that, the man led the soldier inside, and the door creaked shut behind them, cutting off the outside world. The soldier followed the man through a narrow hallway, the air growing cooler as they moved deeper into the building. The low hum of machines and distant murmurs filled the silence, adding an eerie, unsettling layer to the moment. The soldier's thoughts raced. Was this a trap? Was he about to walk into something far worse than he imagined? But the man had said he could help, and the soldier couldn't afford to question every small lead. Every ounce of hope, no matter how small, was worth pursuing. They reached a small room, its walls lined with medical supplies, some old, some new, some appearing to be hastily put together. It wasn't a high-tech facility, but in this place, in this moment, it looked like a lifeline. The soldier's heart skipped a beat as he saw a few familiar medical tools, things he recognized from his military training. The man walked over to a table and began pulling supplies together. "This is what you need to stabilize your dog. It'll buy you time until you can get him to a proper vet, but you gotta act fast." The soldier nodded, feeling a surge of determination. This wasn't over. He wasn't about to let Max die because of a lack of resources. Not today. As the man handed him a roll of bandages, some antiseptic, and a needle with a local anesthetic, the soldier's mind went into overdrive. He had the tools now. He had what he needed to fight back. The girl's words echoed again. "We're all in this together." With the supplies in hand, the soldier turned to the man. "How much?" The man looked at him with a soft smile. "It's already paid for." For the first time in a long time, the soldier felt a sense of peace settle over him. He wasn't alone. He wasn't abandoned. And neither was Max. The soldier stood in the dimly lit room, his hands trembling as he gripped the medical supplies the man had given him. Each item, a simple tool, now felt like the key to unlocking a chance to save his partner. His eyes darted between the supplies and the door, the sound of his breath loud in his ears as he prepared to leave. But the question loomed large in his mind. Would this be enough? He thought back to Max, alone in the truck, suffering. The bullet wound had already done its damage. Could these simple tools truly save him? The soldier didn't know, but what he did know was that he couldn't afford to stand there and wonder. Every second that passed was another moment Max could be slipping away. The man who had led him here stood silently by the door, observing him. His calm demeanor offered no false promises, but the soldier could see something in his eyes, something that told him that, despite the grim reality, there was still a chance. "Do you believe in second chances?" the man asked softly, his voice breaking the tension. The soldier didn't answer at first. He was too focused on the task at hand, his mind swirling with possibilities, doubts, and fears. Second chances. Was this his? Was it Max's? The man took a few steps toward him. "You're not just here for your dog, soldier. You're here for yourself too. That's what it takes sometimes. Not just saving someone, but saving yourself in the process." The soldier looked up, his eyes meeting the man's. He didn't know what to say. There were too many emotions swirling inside of him. Anger, frustration, fear. But something in the man's words resonated deeply within him. He nodded, not in agreement, but as if to acknowledge the weight of the journey he had been on, the battles, the pain, and the fact that this moment wasn't just about Max, but about something much larger, about redemption, about hope, and about the realization that no one, no matter how far gone they seemed, was beyond saving. "Thank you," the soldier said, his voice thick with emotion. The words felt foreign on his tongue, but they were true. He didn't know where this man had come from or why he was helping, but the soldier realized he was in no position to question it. The man's smile was slight, almost imperceptible, but it conveyed a sense of understanding, as if he knew this moment was significant. Without another word, he stepped back, leaving the soldier alone with the supplies. The soldier turned, leaving the building and stepping back into the cold night air. The walk back to the truck felt longer this time. The streets were eerily silent, and the weight of what lay ahead pressed on the soldier's chest like a physical burden. He was running out of time. Each step felt heavier as he moved closer to the truck, his heart racing with a mix of hope and fear. The thought of Max's face, pained, weak, gnawed at him. When he reached the truck, the familiar sound of Max's soft whimpers greeted him. The soldier froze, his breath catching in his throat as he heard the dog's distress. He opened the door slowly, his hands shaking as he reached for the dog's side. Max was still breathing, but it was shallow, labored. The blood had soaked through the cloth wrapped around the wound, and the soldier could feel the heat of Max's body, a fever setting in. The soldier gently checked Max's side, carefully peeling back the makeshift bandage. The sight of the wound made his stomach churn. Max had always been tough, tougher than any human the soldier had known, but now, the once powerful dog was lying vulnerable and weak. The soldier's hand hovered over the supplies he had just received. Could this truly save him? He didn't have time to second-guess. Max was depending on him. He had to act now. He first applied the antiseptic, his heart sinking as Max let out a low whimper of pain. The soldier's hands were steady, though. He'd done this before. He had patched up soldiers, stitched wounds, and treated injuries in the heat of battle. But this was different. This wasn't just a patient. This was Max, his partner, his brother in arms. He poured a small amount of the antiseptic onto the wound, careful not to use too much. Max's body stiffened, but the soldier whispered soft words of reassurance to him, just as he always had. "You're not alone, buddy. We're in this together." Max's eyes, though tired, flickered to meet his. There was a quiet understanding there. It wasn't just the soldier who was struggling. It was both of them, together. The soldier took a deep breath, using the medical needle to administer a small dose of anesthetic to ease Max's pain. He worked quickly, his hands moving with practiced precision, but there was a tenderness to it. Max had been there for him through so much. This wasn't just about saving a life, it was about keeping his promise. As the soldier continued to work, the urgency increased. Max's breathing grew more shallow, and the soldier could feel the weight of the minutes slipping away. His heart pounded faster. There had to be more he could do. Suddenly, the soldier heard a soft sound in the distance, a car approaching. It was distant at first, but growing louder. Someone was coming. The soldier's chest tightened. It was too late for help. He needed to act now. His focus narrowed to the task at hand, blocking out everything else. He had to do this. He had to save Max. The soldier finished wrapping the wound as best as he could, using the bandages to secure the area. Max's body was still, and for a terrifying moment, the soldier feared the worst. His heart skipped a beat as he held his breath. But then Max stirred. It was faint, but it was enough. Max shifted slightly, his body still weak, but alive. The soldier exhaled a shaky breath, relief washing over him. He gently patted Max's head, whispering words of comfort. "I got you, buddy. You're going to be okay. We're in this together, remember?" As the soldier sat there, Max's head resting on his lap, he realized something profound. This wasn't just about the dog. This wasn't just about a promise. This was about life itself, about resilience, about the fight that never ends, no matter how difficult it gets. Max, through his loyalty and strength, had given the soldier the courage to push through, to keep fighting when everything seemed hopeless. In that moment, the soldier understood what it meant to fight not just for survival, but for each other, to trust, to lean on those who stood by you, and to never give up. The soldier's mind drifted back to the girl's words once more. "You're not alone." The truth of those words struck him like a bolt of lightning. He wasn't alone, not in the fight, not in the struggle, and not in the hope that they still had a chance. Max stirred again, and the soldier gently helped him into a more comfortable position. He could feel the warmth of Max's body against his own, a quiet comfort in the midst of the storm. The soldier wasn't sure what the future held, but he knew one thing. He wasn't going to give up, not on Max, not on the fight. As the car neared, the soldier knew that the battle wasn't over. This was just one moment in a long journey, one he wasn't facing alone anymore. With Max now stabilized, though weak, the soldier felt a flicker of hope. The vehicle in the distance was getting closer. He looked up, seeing headlights cutting through the darkness. Who was it? Was it the help he'd been hoping for? The air was thick with tension, but something inside him told him that this was the turning point. Whatever happened next would be pivotal, not just for Max, but for the soldier too. The night was still, the only sound the soft hum of the distant car's engine as it grew louder, closer. The soldier held his breath, his hands trembling as Max lay in his lap, eyes half open, still weak, but breathing steadily. The weight of the past few hours, the anguish and desperation, began to lift slightly, replaced by a quiet sense of relief. They weren't out of the woods yet, not by a long shot, but Max had made it through the worst of it, and that meant something. The soldier had lived through countless battles, each more brutal than the last. He had seen friends fall, watched comrades crumble under the weight of fear and doubt, and he had wondered more times than he cared to admit whether it was all worth it. Was the fight for survival ever really worth it? Was there an end to this war, both the one in his mind and the one in the world around him? But tonight, in the quiet, moonlit stillness of the street, the soldier found a glimmer of hope. Max had pulled through, against all odds. His loyal companion had fought just as hard as he had, refusing to give up. They had faced the darkness together, and Max had held on long enough to give him this chance, this second chance. The soldier gently stroked Max's head, his heart swelling with gratitude. He could feel the dog's pulse beneath his hand, each beat a reminder of how precious life truly was. The soldier's own heart beat faster, not from fear, but from something new, a deep, undeniable sense of connection. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It wasn't just about the war or the pain or the weight of what had been lost. This moment, with Max, was about redemption. Redemption wasn't something he'd expected to find on that cold night. He had come to the pharmacy to find help for his dog, but what he had found was something more. He had found himself again, in the quiet act of caring for Max, in the shared pain and struggle. The soldier had reconnected with something he had long buried, hope. The soldier looked up as the headlights of the approaching vehicle pierced the darkness. His pulse quickened once again, but this time it was different. This wasn't fear of the unknown, it was anticipation. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of moments, help could arrive. There was still time. There was still hope. The car came to a halt in front of the truck, and the soldier squinted against the bright lights. The driver's side door opened, and a figure stepped out. For a moment, the soldier's heart skipped a beat. Was this the moment he had been waiting for? Had someone finally come to help? But as the figure moved closer, the soldier's fear began to melt away, replaced by a sense of recognition. The man who had appeared in the alley, was it him? The same calm, composed presence that had offered the soldier guidance earlier was now standing before him, his face illuminated by the headlights. "You did well," the man said softly, his voice steady and reassuring. "He's still with you." The soldier nodded, unsure of what to say. Words had never come easily to him, not after everything he had seen, everything he had lost. But now, in this moment, there was no need for words. The man had seen what needed to be done, had known the right help to give at the right time. The man crouched beside the soldier and gently placed a hand on Max's side, checking the wound with practiced ease. "He's going to be okay," the man confirmed. "You've done everything you could, and now he's got a shot at recovery." The soldier felt a weight lift off his shoulders. There it was again, the reminder that he wasn't alone in this fight. Max wasn't alone. They were in this together, no matter how dark the road ahead might seem. "I thought I'd lost him," the soldier admitted, his voice low and rough. He hadn't realized how much those words had been choking him until now, until they slipped out of his mouth, like a confession. "I thought I couldn't save him." "You saved him," the man replied firmly, standing up and moving to the back of the truck. He opened the door with a quiet motion, his face expressionless, but the soldier saw the care in his eyes. "Sometimes we need someone else to believe in us before we can believe in ourselves." The soldier watched as the man retrieved a small medical bag from the truck and began working quickly to further stabilize Max. There was no hesitation in the man's movements, no doubt in his eyes. It was clear that he knew exactly what he was doing, and that calm certainty filled the soldier with a deep sense of gratitude. For the first time in what felt like forever, the soldier let himself relax. Just for a moment, he allowed himself to let go of the fear, the guilt, and the anger. There was no room for any of it right now. Right now, there was only Max, only the connection they shared. The soldier's thoughts wandered back to the girl he had met outside the pharmacy. Her words, "You're not alone," echoed in his mind again. She had been right. He wasn't alone. Neither was Max. They had made it through this together, with help from unexpected places. The soldier had not only saved Max, but he had saved himself in the process. As the man worked, the soldier stood back, observing quietly. Max's breathing had steadied, and his body was beginning to relax. He was still weak, but the worst was over. The soldier could feel his own heartbeat slowing down, the tension easing from his shoulders. There was still a long road ahead, but for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel as daunting. The man finished his work, securing the bandages around Max's side. He turned to the soldier, a small, approving smile playing at the corners of his lips. "He's going to make it." The soldier nodded, feeling the words settle into him, like a balm for a wound he didn't even know he had. He wasn't sure if he would ever be able to express how much it meant to him, but he didn't need to. The weight in his chest was gone now, replaced by something far lighter, hope, peace, and the knowledge that things could get better. The man's voice interrupted his thoughts. "You should get him to a vet, just in case. But he's on the right path now." "I will," the soldier responded, his voice steady for the first time in hours. "Thank you." "You're welcome," the man said, his eyes searching the soldier's face. "Just remember, you don't have to carry it all alone." With that, the man turned and began to walk back to his car, the soft sound of his footsteps fading into the night. The soldier didn't follow him, didn't try to ask any questions. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel the need to understand everything. He didn't need to know why the man had helped, or where he had come from. All he needed to know was that Max was going to be okay. As the car's headlights disappeared into the distance, the soldier stood by the truck, his hands resting on Max's side. He wasn't sure what the future held, but one thing was certain. He wasn't alone anymore. He had Max, and as long as he had that, there was nothing they couldn't face together. The soldier took a deep breath, looking up at the stars that now dotted the clear sky. It felt like the night had changed. The darkness wasn't as deep as it had been earlier. There was light now. He could see the path ahead, not in perfect clarity, but enough to know that it was there, and that was enough for now. As the cool night air wrapped around him, the soldier smiled softly, knowing that no matter what came next, he and Max would face it together. The soldier didn't need anything to continue on his journey, but as he stood there, staring at the stars, he understood that some journeys were meant to be shared. And so, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else, don't forget to keep fighting.